Welcome to Level Up Live, everybody, from your local garbage dump. So, with me, I have the three topmost quality AAA members of the streaming community, and then there's me. I don't know how I'm here. I don't know why I'm here. But needless to say, to the one above me, we have the absolute amazing Mafidella. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Why are we in the dump again?
I don't know.
I was hungry.
It was the
My
only
bad.
compromise to get the raccoon to be awake during the day for this.
We commuted like
we had to
several
come to
hours to
her.
get here. Yeah. And to my right, well, actually, I'm Muffy. Hi. To my right, we've got a France reject.
Excuse you. Hello, I am Baguette. And below is our special guest of the day and my wife, Blair.
Yeah, I'm Bears. The reason everyone's in the garbage today, and very, very happy to be here. Hello. And also Baguette's wife. This is correct.
Very important.
So today we'll be talking about communities. And to be honest with you, out of all the people that I know, one of the people who has the best community is the one to my left, your viewers right, Blair. Oh my god, that was so hard for my brain to process for some reason.
You just gotta stay like what, stage left, stage right? Would
Oh
be
no, that
easier?
gets even crazier because then which way is the stage facing?
Oh, true! But also, thank you. I'm gonna cry. Oh no.
I also just want to preface this discussion with, if there was somebody in our guest lineup who was qualified to discuss community, it really is Blair. I'm really excited to talk about all the things that she does. I have taken so much inspiration from a lot of the things that she does, and like, I'm just so thrilled that she agreed to come do this and share her secrets with all of us.
Of course.
So how
Hey,
much?
there's no
already.
crying in podcasts.
So I
I'm just
bribe
so
my
excited.
community with money. So how do you get your community?
So
Is it
I'm very
extortion?
proud. I mean, everyone gets free Garbo when they join the Garbo gang. But no, I think a lot of people are just very like-minded. You know, so if you don't know, I'm a charity streamer, and that plays a big part into the community that, you know, over the course of what, like a year now, almost a whole year. Oh my gosh. Over a year, we have acquired and just grown. And I think it's because, you know, what we do is a good thing. And what I promote is, you know, our community is like a little oasis on the internet because there's so much negativity. There's so much like bad stuff out there. And I want our community to be like free of that. I want it to be a nice little place you can come and rest, where there's positivity, there's support. And I think a lot of people just need that. So they feel drawn to it. And I am so thankful for that. And I think a big part is just, I don't know, I don't want to be selfish and just say this, but like I feel like a big part is me just genuinely caring about other people, because I think the world needs more of that, and that's how we're able to have the community that we do and attract like-minded people who are very similar in that they give a heck about other people, and it's really nice. And it's kind of wild how we've gone from like 50 people in our Discord to almost 900 now. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot of little raccoons running around, but they're all so sweet. I love them so very, very much.
Do you find that like the community almost takes care of takes care of itself with the seeds that you've kind of sown with the taking care of people approach?
Yes, it's kind of funny. A lot of people will like sign up to want to be like a mod or something for me, and I tell them like our community is really good at like self-moderation, you know, like, you know, no one, you know, steps out of line really, like everyone's really kind, respectful. We don't like, you know, there's no, you know, like adult stuff or anything like that. Like it's very much a supportive and self-modable community. It's just something I can like kind of sit back and like watch interact with each other. I once compared our community to like a little ant farm, because I can just watch everyone do their own little things, and I can just sit there like and smile and be happy and watch them work. It's really, really cute.
It's always a nice feeling, kind of just being like, hey, that's not me in a VC leading that VC. That's a different bunch of people.
Yes, it's so cool. Like, and it's kind of cute. We've actually had like some people like form relationships and stuff in our little hideout, and like form like very like strong friendships in there too. To the point where like I remember these two people, I won't name names obviously just in case, but they joined the hideout around the same time, and I saw them talking to each other, and then like 2 to 3 weeks later they were collabing on Twitch together, and they've been doing it ever since. And like it's just stuff like that. I feel like that teacher that like sees the two students talking and they're like, they're gonna go to homecoming together, like
For real.
and it's
Oh my god.
it's so lovely when that happens, like how a new person can join the hideout, which is, you know, what I call my community. How a new person can join, and like immediately I see like everyone greeting them, everyone like telling them, oh, you can post this here, you can come join us in VC, like let's all play games together. Like it is so awesome, and I don't know many communities that are like that. And to me that's like kind of unfortunate. Like I would love more like little spaces for people to do things like what we do.
I personally love, like, I feel like, you know how Discord shows you when there's an active VC? I feel like the Hideout Discord always has the little icon on it.
And I'll look right now and see
it's-
like every
And so I always love, like, I'll pop in like over my lunch break and I'll see that if somebody's in there, and I'm like, oh, who's in there? Oh, it's that group of people from that part of the world who are all gaming together. Or oh, they're playing Tetris, or oh, they're playing Minecraft. And I'm gonna say we have got to talk about Hidecraft at some point in this podcast, because I think that's just been such a brilliant community engagement tool for your community as of late. I feel like I'm like a stalker. Like I know about Blair's community and I just want to talk about it. Like
You all have wonderful communities. I mean, we got the whole congrats Paz thing going on in Paz's, which is one of my favorites.
Ooh, congrats, Paz.
Hate it here. Hate it here. I hate it.
Good.
But
So-
thank you.
I think that, you know, I will say everybody on this call definitely has really distinct and lovely communities. And I know in previous podcasts, we've all touched on our own, Paz, Mafia, and I. But I think that what we need to talk about first is how do we set the foundation for community building? Because these communities don't just pop up overnight. They don't just spring up out of nowhere. And communities certainly do not self-moderate out of nowhere. So I think we should maybe kick it off by talking about, like, when we all get started and when you started thinking about the kind of community you wanted to build, what practices do you put in place? Some tips and tricks for setting somebody off to a good start when they are trying to establish their community?
I think since we all have like our own like vibes for our community, maybe we each share like a tip that we personally have done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Paz, start us off.
With me, I kind of established like more of like a do's and don'ts, if you will. So for example, with my kind of community, I won't say like it is 18 plus, but like I don't like no graphic content, none of that stuff, but like because like, you know, we're all adults in my community, so it's just like maybe we'll have a casual conversation where, you know, it just kind of borders like as part of being an adult. That's just kind of how life is. So like that kind of conversation's allowed, but like for example, like the adult imagery, and y'all know what I'm talking about, like that's a straight no in my community. Because that's not the kind of community I want to foster. So setting up like your own do's and don'ts and what you kind of want to foster and grow in the community is very important. And that's what I have set up in mind. What about you, Blair?
I love it, Paz. So for me, it's kind of funny. What I started with and what I ended with are two different things. So when I started, I tried to make Hideout available for everybody. I didn't want anyone to feel like, you know, they weren't welcome, that they couldn't be there. But in doing so, like after a couple months, I made it a place where like I felt uncomfortable being there. So my advice would be make your community a place where you want to spend time and you want to be. If you're looking at your Discord and you don't want to chat in the, like, you don't want to talk to the people in there, you don't want to hang out in VC, then something needs to change. Because that's what I learned when I first joined. A lot of people joined and were like making fun of what I do or making fun of raccoons and stuff like that. It was not a good place to be. So my advice is make it somewhere where you would want to spend your time, and then that's how you'll get the community that is like-minded as you are and will hopefully mod itself and save you and your mods from having to check in all the time. Mafi, what about you?
We offered the tip
Yeah.
as to how to go about it.
Mhm.
Maybe this is like, to some people it might seem a little counterintuitive, but I think actually establishing a hierarchy pretty early on is kind of helpful, whether it's like a mod kind of hierarchy or just kind of like a close group of people kind of thing, like to kind of set the tone with how you want the server to kind of be done. I think my server almost has like a read the room kind of way of like self-managing itself, where I think the close-knit people that I have, I guess at the top of the hierarchy, are all kind of keeping the same kind of vibes, and therefore the people that are like, you know, just joining in or on the fringes of the community, when they do happen to actually interact with people, that they like go with the flow with it. Like whether it's like, you know, we're calling someone that just joined the server like bald or French or something upon like arrival or something, like it's all like what goes on with the vibes and making sure that it's like as as obvious, even though it's not really obvious, as possible. Sometimes we'll have just like gimmicky things, and I feel like you guys have had it as well from what I've heard, where like, you know, like the silly thing with like how you can have custom names in your own server sort of thing. There's like points where like there was like different variations of me. There was an artistic Mafi, there was a like a crying Mafi or like something, and it was all just like based off like different people in this like different versions of me in this server, just like out there. It's very silly. But just, yeah, I think having those people that almost kind of trend set, like kind of that established core, and then from there kind of it ripples out into the rest of the community, and it's all right. Maybe a different approach to how other people go about it, but yeah.
No, I like it. You're like kind of setting the standard for when folks join, they know what to expect. I like that.
Yeah. I was also going to say, like, number one tip, establish your values, establish the rules. When I set up my Discord server, the very first channel that I created was called The Rules, and it's changed over time. Like, things have definitely changed, but the core rules that I typed up on that first day are the same. I think age range and family friendliness and things like that are really, really important to establish as soon as possible. Just because like large scale community changes, but maybe you could touch on this too, but like large scale changes to your community can be really complicated, right? Like if you start off your server with, you know, like allowing not safe for work content, which like, first of all, I just would say don't do that. Maybe not any true like hardcore not safe for work unless you're really, really prepared for the consequences of that. That may be a personal preference, but I personally think it's just a little more tricky to manage than the average person probably has time to deal with. But but like if you start off that way but then it changes, like it can be whiplash for the community. It can, you know, cause people to get really upset, which creates drama, things like that. So starting off with that core set of values is super important, and making sure that you put them somewhere where everybody can see them, because it's great if you know what the core values of your community are going to be. Make them visible, because then others will know when they join whether this is the space for them or not.
Shout out to Discord. If you create a community, use the onboarding feature and make everyone read and accept the rules before they're allowed to see your server. It has been my favorite thing. And then also they can select any like reaction rules, pronouns, whatever they like, all on that screen too. So little hashtag Discord tech tip for you.
Lets them customize their experience. I wish that I had done that, and I wish that I had created different like ping roles earlier on, because now I'm hitting that like 150-ish person group and I'm like, I don't want to ping at everyone all the time.
Do it, Bagels.
But that's the only way that I can, because I don't have like a ping role or things like that. So it's been tricky. Like I've set up little mini ones. Like I have the MS cuties for Final Fantasy, and like I just kind of give those out as I realize that people want to be part of it. But yeah, also like customize people's roles early on too will really help you later if your community absolutely explodes.
I mean, you could always just make a role and then add everybody to emote, and then set it up so that those people that emote get those roles, so that way it's
what I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah, I've done that a few times with like when we did Hidecraft, you know, I added everyone like, hey, react to this pickaxe to get the Hidecraft rule, otherwise you won't be able to see the game. So like things like that. But I know that I personally am famous for whenever I join a community, the first thing I do is turn off at everyone pings, unless it's a community that like I want your pings from. I'm sorry, I'm in a lot of servers.
So many
I'm in
servers.
so many. I will go in like and I'll check like if I have like the little icon, because I hate the little icon of unread messages. I'll go check that, but sometimes I will turn pings off. So having the onboarding to be like, hey, do you want notified when I go live? Or hey, do you want notified of when I update things? Like giving me that option when I first join your server is phenomenal. Like coming from someone who joins like 100 servers to support her friends.
With that in mind, keep in mind that it is like, I feel like people who like Discord have this chronic problem of having too many servers. So like one thing to consider in your community management is being mindful of like how people might have lots of servers and lots of notifications. But counterpoint to my own point, if they're there for your content, don't be afraid to blast your content down their throats, because that's what they joined for, right? So
True.
Grain of salt. You'll see people say like, don't ping it, but like ping, but give people the option to opt out if they really want to. Like it feels like the best of both worlds.
It probably comes from general kind of Discord community like etiquette sort of thing. Especially like if you went on like Discord or something, and it's like less of like the VTuber communities or streamer community stuff. I think that's where that mindset of almost everyone being a little bit kind of taboo if you like abuse it kind of thing. But yeah, like I've actually had to like learn Bag's way of everyone spamming more often, just because I feel guilty about it. But like for me, honestly, everyone is kind of the way to go. I found that the stream pings didn't really work for me all too much. But yeah, each their own.
Listen, I at everyone a lot, but that's because I love everyone so much and I want everyone to know what's going on. I want everyone to know that I'll be late for stream because my chicken nuggets had the wrong sauce, okay? I need them to know because I care.
A sauced up bag is a good bag.
I used to be like that. I used to add everyone just to be like, hey, have a good day, I love you. Like that's kind of the, but now like whenever I see that message of like, you're about to add 800 people, I'm like, so I actually recently made a role called Garbo News, and this is me pinging you instead of at everyone, and I save at everyone's for like the really important stuff, like hey, big extra life stream coming up and stuff like that. Because I can't control myself. I love to ping my community and tell them random things.
I love that about you, though.
I once pinged to show them a raccoon picture that I saw that was really cute. So like.
I will say I can tell when you revert back to that, because I'll get like a ping and I'll be like, oh, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's Blair being a goober.
Old habits die hard. Like, my mod pinged today for a very important reason. Like, there's a Discord scam going around, and we love to make sure everyone knows about those. But then, like, the other day, I think I added everyone to be like, hey, I'm sleepy. Stream's gonna be late. And then it was just me forgetting that, like, I have a role now for these kind of pings. So if I panic, usually, Bagels, if you can tell, I'll add like a bunch of random stuff and then end it with like, I love you, have a good day.
I picked that up so much. I love that so much too. Like I feel like a lot of times, Blair, one thing that I actually found very charming was that aspect of like, at everyone, we're gonna have an event today, and then like 17 little non-pinged messages after being like, also, I like frogs and I need everyone to know.
Yeah.
Like,
I love adding the like, also, since I pinged, I found a nickel today.
yeah, that's good.
I like to keep, I don't know, my community is more like, I feel kind of icky calling it my community, because like they're, I don't know, they're my family, they're my friendos, like, so I like to keep them informed of these very important updates in my life, like when I find a nickel.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
So, as far as kind of tying this all back, establishing a community, my brain go no braining.
It's okay.
I'm a little on the EP side, so it is what it is.
Do you want to add everyone and tell them that you're EP?
Yeah,
Because
I should add everybody, let them know I'm EP. So
please do it, and then tell them they have a cameo in this podcast.
Oh yeah, so getting started. Let's say we just started. We don't even have a Discord yet. We're about to hit our first stream. What would we all recommend as far as like a good tip on just developing, not even like a Discord community, but just like let's say for example, whether you're streaming on YouTube or Twitch, like a community on there, because that's how I started. I didn't even have a Discord until a couple months in.
Welcome everybody, and talk to them.
That's
really people
good.
are taking time out of their day to come watch you and hang out with you, so like introduce yourself and get to know them as well.
That's actually a pretty solid tip. I really do appreciate that, because honestly, I do think as a lot of new streamers, their biggest priority is like, sweating big time because it's like, oh no, am I doing this right? Am I doing the right thing? That I don't think. I know for myself, I was big discombobulated. Even when the first person showed up and sent a hi message, I was like, oh no, what do I do?
Yeah. We can get so far into our own minds that we forget that there are like actual human beings like taking time to come check you out. And at the end of the day, like when I first started streaming, I pointed a webcam at my television. Like that was my stream setup. But people stayed and they kept coming, and I think it's because of the personality. Like if you're streaming, at least in my opinion, if you're doing it right and you're doing like what you love to do and you're just having a good time, like your technical setup boopers can like, they're second to your community and just being like a genuinely fun person to be around and hang out with, and like people will keep coming back whether you're streaming from like the fanciest setup or you're streaming from a potato. They're gonna come for you versus like what you're playing or streaming or what they see, except for Paz, you need to actually add more channel redeems and buttons. That's why I watch Paz.
Oh, yeah. I'm already at a point where I have to be careful with adding a singular, one more additional chat, like a chat command, because all of them can be used simultaneously, which usually involves what happens is like, oh, a raid comes in. The raid little whole thing ends because it's like on a timer. Like if you try to do any redeems or anything during that moment, they won't show. But the moment that like the little raid party goes off screen, it reverts back to my normal thing, and then what will happen is everybody will redeem and use all the commands, and they all go off simultaneously. So I have to be careful with that, because look, I appreciate the chaos. I think it's a lot of fun, but I also understand, a lot of people they get overwhelmed with that. So it's striking a balance. It is what it is.
Sounds like you're about to hit the inflation button.
I have been debating on reworking a lot of the commands and seeing if I could set it up so they all can't go off simultaneously. I'm thinking of categorizing, like setting ones in different categories so those can go off all together, but like certain ones can't go off at the same time as other ones. I don't know.
Are they all through Mix It Up?
No, it's all through Polypop. There's a few
Then
through
I cannot
Mix
help
It Up,
you.
but like 90% of them are all through Polypop.
Oh, I gotcha. When I had all mine through Mix It Up, they were all going off at once, and I didn't know that there was like one singular button you had to hit in a setting far, far away to make that not happen.
It's weird for me because I have the opposite issue with Mix It Up, where it's just like if someone does a chat command and it's like a lengthy command, no other command through Mix It Up can be run until that finishes.
Oh yeah, no. When I first got it, like everything, like an extra life dono, and then a sub, and then a follow, and then like everything was going off at once. I literally, the first stream I did use Mix It Up, I had to turn it off because it was like so overwhelming.
I would imagine. Well, actually, I don't need to imagine. Knowing
Yeah, I
with
was
my
about to say. If anyone can imagine, Baz, it'd be you. But Baguette Mafia, what do you guys think if someone's just starting out on stream and they want to build their streaming community? What are some good tips and tricks they can do?
Bag, you wanna go ahead?
Yeah. Sorry, my dogs were barking, so I was big muted.
Oh, I thought that was you. Whoops.
I'm a chipmunk, not a dog. Get it
Same
right. Same thing. Oh my god. Okay, so I mean, I think the biggest thing is just like talking, even if your chat is not super active, and asking questions. It's like you'd be surprised. I think one of the things that I see, because one of the pieces of advice we've actually given on this podcast before is talk to the wall, right? Like even if you don't have any viewers, if your viewer count is at 0 or your chat is not active or whatever, just like talk, because people pop in, they see you talking, they're more likely to stay. But also including in that, throwing out questions, because like you could be talking all about whatever it is that you're talking about, but if you also are throwing in questions about like, oh, like, have any of you ever had this experience? Or, like, for example, if I do a lot of content about the French language, like, does this exist in any of the other languages that you guys speak or whatever? Even if there's not somebody in chat who ends up answering that question, somebody might. And that helps you get to know your community. It helps you, learn about them and maybe where they're at, right? Maybe that's how you find out that your 2 regular viewers that come for, you know, part of your stream, but can't usually stay to the end, is because they're in Europe. Maybe that helps you adjust your stream schedule because for whatever reason, your content's more popular there. You'll learn things about the people that are in your community that way, and you'll be able to also have a conversation, and then they get to know each other as well, which is also super giga important for ultimate community building. It's great for you to know them, but it's also great for them to know each other. So that's my hot tip.
I like your hot tip. That's very good.
Mafi?
You're up, Mafi.
Yeah, true. I am supposed to talk. What's it called? Like getting started with community. I find myself in a position of often being like kind of like a community connector. A lot of my community was fundamentals or base is almost on I being the kind of like middleman person that people know each other through. What's kind of sweet is kind of seeing people that almost didn't associate with each other at all, and kind of you being the reason why they're in the same place and able to start talking, start establishing like a friendship and close-knit like bond with. Like what's it called? A lot of my community actually thrives on kind of just like I have a huge IRL presence in my community, actually. Like a lot of the people I know in person, and they like regularly interact with online people. Like to me that's crazy, because like we'll just like be talking, like I don't know, like to put a name out there, like we're talking about like Egan or like Steph, but we're like in an in-person IRL conversation, hanging out at the mall, right? Like, or like we see them in like VC and like we'll join them later, kind of thing. But just kind of finding, what is that? I'll pop into like, I remember like just getting like popping in my words, popping into like other people's chats and just kind of familiarizing them with you, and then becoming just like a good person to like talk to or whatever, taking them out to dinner or cola or whatever, and then they eventually just find you really neat. They get curious and they're like, oh, you've got a group of people that are probably just like you or like adjacent to you. I'd like to be a part of that. And then you get different like you get like people from like different like communities joining, like fusing into like one, and that's just so neat, especially with like, I feel like the artistic front on my server. I see that a lot too. But yeah, just kind of you can weirdly build a community quite well by connecting communities together, I find. So it doesn't really need to be like from scratch, but just get involved. I even think just engaging in let's say like Paz, Bag, or Blair's like Discord kind of thing. Like if you were just kind of to hop in and familiarize yourself with them, like there's a reason why Baguette and Blair are like really close now, right? Kind of throwing at yourselves a little bit.
Describing my origin story of meeting Baggles through Charlie, and then meeting Paz through Bag, and you through Bag.
Yeah, like that's the reality of it, really. Mm-hmm. Like it's just, the community's already like, there are just several communities out there. Make your own out of the ones that already exist. There's no like harm in that. I'm honestly in a lot of communities that kind of overlap each other quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Like I'm even part of an IRL server that for some reason has online people and like they shouldn't even be in here, but like they feel so drawn towards each other and they get along so well that here we are, you know?
Yeah. Now to add on to that, like, and this is just an FYI sort of thing, don't join a new community with that goal, like, and only that goal of growing your own community solely in mind. Take the time to get to know the people and like genuinely form friendships and stuff. And the reason I mention that is because in my past, I've had some folks that, for example, they wanted to collab with me, but then they would DM me wanting me to like ping my community and have them join their Discord and stuff like that. And it just comes off so rude to me. It's like, do you like me
like
or do you want my community? Exactly. Yeah. Like I want to be your friend. I don't want you just to be friends with me because I have this thing that you want. So keep that in mind, you know, as you're merging communities and stuff like that. Like, you know, be there for the people, not for selfish like reasons. And I'm sure anyone listening to this podcast, I don't need to tell you that, but just in case.
For sure. Take them out for dinner.
Yeah.
That's what I did with Baggles and Charlie. We went to
Yeah.
Well, actually, they had brunch without me first, but then I
Hey,
letting me join.
Let me just remind you that our first collab was actually a Charlie Bag Paz horror game. I didn't even take you out for dinner. I took you to the movies. The scary movies.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
the
back room.
Gamer. I remember that. I was so scared.
I remember the
clips from that stream will live in infamy.
That the God, I hate to put it this way, but it's the only way I remember, the naked tall guy that you were trapped in a room with, and he was staring at the door.
Out.
Yeah.
I got out of the butt cheek room. It was great. Because that's all I remember too, Paz. Don't you worry.
So yeah, collabs can absolutely be a really powerful community builder because it's how you introduce yourself to other communities. It's how you introduce your community to other people, but don't force it because boy, oh boy, if you force it, well, we have an entire pod about that, right?
Yep.
About collabs.
Yep.
It does not work out. So yeah, it's a happy side effect, but don't rely on it, which I think is a really important note to put out there, especially since like Twitch themselves have been like, collabs are the best way to grow. Like, okay, yeah, okay, yes, It's a great tool, but don't
No.
just use it for that.
Yeah.
Knock knock.
The knock feature. Oh god.
What a mess.
We can talk about that in your tech topic podcast.
I think
I do
they're probably
think
going to end
it's-
up rolling that back, or they're going to have to do some heavy modifications to that feature.
For sure.
Oh, for sure. I think it's we alluded to it a little bit. I think it's important to understand as well that not everybody's going to be compatible with everyone. There are going to be like mini factions in your community, kind of like groups that like conglomerate over others. So maybe it's as simple as literally having like multiple like VCs kind of thing, or like making sure that they have like the resources to sustain themselves. Like everybody's got their own like, you know, tolerances to things like that. Maybe just like they mesh with people a little bit better like in this group, but with this one they're like quiet and muted, and yeah.
No, that's a super valid point. Actually, me and the mod team call them the lunch tables.
Yeah, that's an amazing way to
Like,
put it.
yeah, everyone in the hideout, you know, supports and we respect each other and we're very kind, but obviously, like, you know, one person, like, they're not all besties, you know? The Discord threads feature is really good for this because people can create their own little, like, you know, for example, we have a lot of different gaming communities in our hideout. So we have a thread for, like, all the Final Fantasy players to tag, one for all the Destiny players, the Valorant players, the World of Warcraft players, like, everyone can find their niche and find their people through that. And then we have multiple like hangout VCs, gaming VCs for people to chitter chatter and hang out. So I think it's a very important topic to bring up, Mafi.
So, I think we've pretty much nailed home. No, that's not the proper phrase. Hammered home? I don't know. We've pretty much we nailed the establishing.
Nailed down, hammered home.
Look, I tried. I'm still eepy, even though I drank an entire cup of coffee and a donut. Look.
Paz,
4
you
PM,
open this
but-
can of sardines. You better go lie in it now.
He's snorting those sardines. What do you mean?
Oh, that was such a fishy pun. So, where to foster communities? This one's pretty much self-explanatory, but like for example, there's the YouTubes, there's the Twitch, Discord. Some of them they intermingle perfectly fine. Sometimes they don't. Like I know there's like TikTok, Reddit, Facebook, and I think there's probably a few others that I can't think of. I myself, for example, I have a Discord community as well as a Twitch community. I'm in the process of growing a YouTube community and I guess a TikTok community. That one's always an afterthought, but those are communities that I myself am trying to grow. So go ahead.
I saw Blair light up about TikTok, and I just really have an important question for Blair, because I think this is like, we can list off all the places, right, where you can foster your communities, but I think what we don't talk about is that each of those places is going to have different types of people that come your way, and I feel like Blair might be able to help kind of talk about maybe some of the differences between like her Discord community and her TikTok community and her Twitch community. Because while they have some similarities, I understand that there are some vast differences. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I lit up because a lot of my community actually came from TikTok, and I adore them. They're all like, obviously get the couple comments about, you know, me stealing Snuffy's fit and things like that. But for the vast majority, a lot of people that use TikTok are like from the ages of like 14 to like 30s. And if you don't know, my community is very family friendly. We are like DreamWorks movie like atmosphere. So like we just follow, it's like 14 and up are welcome in our community. And a lot of folks on TikTok are like of that age range, and they're like, a lot of the TikToks I post are like, you know, mixed between amazing Tetris comebacks, me squeaking a lot, and like wholesome like mental health stuff. So to contrast that, when I post the exact same content over on YouTube, we get more negative comments than positive ones. For example, like YouTube, and I'm sure some of you can relate, they have sometimes a hate against VTubers for some reason. You know, I'll get a lot of comments being like, oh, I bet they're really like ugly in person, and like just really mean things. And I really don't see that ever on TikTok. And it's such a crazy contrast to post the content there. So, you know, and then on the Twitter side of things, I'll get a nice mix. Recently, I had to tell someone, please do not the raccoon, because they were being like a little adult with my posts and my stuff on Twitter. And I had to remind them like, hey, I am a children's charity streamer. Let's tone down their Twitter. So it is a balance. And I will say, you know, when you go into finding a community on each platform, don't expect the same results from one or the other. It's going to be a time, and for me personally, I've had to cater what I post on TikTok to what I post on YouTube and Twitter. Like, I need to remember that audience and kind of post what I want them to see and what I think they're going to react positively to, versus post the exact same stuff on every single platform. And that can be a lot of work. It's very much a mental effort to keep that kind of stuff in mind. But at the end of the day, it's more protecting me, because I, you know, and it's just people on the internet, you know, they're just comments, but I do internalize some of the things that are commented on my stuff, especially when, you know, for example, I posted a mental health thing on YouTube once under YouTube Shorts, and it was just because me personally, I was having a really bad week. And I, you know, whenever I'm having a bad day, I want to make sure I use that energy to make sure other people are having a good day. So I posted on there, and I got a lot of really negative and really like hurtful comments on that post. And it sucked. It sucked so much to read that. So why I do it is more to protect me versus to, you know, make sure everyone else is like enjoying the content. So that is one thing to keep in mind. And a huge thing I recommend is just post what you can and watch the results and see what clicks for each platform.
I couldn't
feel
agree
like,
more. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, sorry. It's interesting because like I haven't really dabbled too much into like other platforms in establishing community, but I think this is just kind of like my perception, maybe our perception, depending on what you guys feel about it. But it's also the reason you might want like certain experiences or perceptions of social medias might defer you from even interacting with that social media in the first place, like that platform. Like with I don't have the biggest or the best opinion of Kick, to be honest, and if I ever did move to there, I would be I feel like quite uncomfortable with the energy that they kind of have on there. So I think part of it is also making sure that and what is it, knowing like what, like you can dip your feet in the water kind of thing, like with different like communities. If you want to go down like the wild west of Amino or something, or Tumblr or something like that, try it. But you know, if it's not bearing the fruit you want, back out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you never need to force anything. And at the end of the day, no matter what, you as the content creator should always feel comfortable and happy.
Yeah, in fact, we had a whole podcast about that as well with the mental health, and couldn't agree more, because like your mental health is basically, without that there is no content. So, and then there is no streaming, no recording, no none of that. So at the end of the day, you know, if it is affecting you personally negatively, using that particular space to try and grow a community, then it might be worth considering trying elsewhere. Nothing against maybe that side of the thing, but in that particular situation, it's more about you than it is about that, you know?
Yeah. No, that's so true.
I actually know, like, I feel like a couple people by now that have actually just like restarted the Discord, just because it was like it just like kind of fostered the energy they really didn't want. And Discord is kind of like the perfect community builder kind of like hotspot sort of thing. So, you know, restarting your Discord, maybe having just like the close-knit like people to get started, and then reestablishing, starting anew. Don't be afraid to do that either.
I think a good tip. Now, I can't say to the validity of it, but I'd say if you're like starting off streaming, doesn't matter where, maybe you consider holding off on starting up a Discord. Try and grow your community on that platform first. You're more than welcome to be in other people's communities, but I think trying to figure out what you want to foster for a community before you actually foster the community might be beneficial.
I know a lot of people have like an assumption, and honestly, I love themed Discords. Like mine's all about raccoons and garbage, because look at me, right? So I think that's also very solid advice. You know, maybe you're just starting out. When I started streaming, my whole setup was Sly Cooper. That was it. That was my whole vibe. I had nothing else. It was just Sly Cooper. And I was not happy with the community until I made it my own. So I love that, Paz. I fully support hanging out, waiting to see the kind of people that you attract, and maybe, you know, from there you can even build the community together with those people.
Mm-hmm. Bagels, do you have any thought?
You're quiet up there.
Or she's still barking.
Don't make me come closer.
I'm not barking. I'm listening, and I just agree with kind of everything you say too. Like, I definitely think Discord is great, but you don't need to overdo it. The biggest thing I could say is make sure your community is scaling in a way that you can handle. So don't overdo it, right? Like if you come out the gate and you have a Discord and a Twitter and a TikTok and you're updating every single one of them regularly all the time on top of your job or whatever it is that you do other than your content creation. Maybe content creation is your full-time job, but you know, maybe you burn out easy. So like keep that in mind and don't let things get too big or too crazy. And like even when you start your Discord, don't feel like you have to have all the bells and whistles of your favorite streamers. Focus on the core things, right? Roles, rules, and security. I would say are the biggest three things when you do start up that Discord, because you want to make sure that the roles are clear, the rules are clear, and it's a secure server that you don't have, you know, porn bots spamming in. Frankly, that can happen. So like have your stuff in place, have all of your security and access settings set up in a way that keep your community safe, and that's really all you need. You could have one channel and those three things, and that's good enough.
Bagos, you forgot something really important.
I did.
Yeah, they need raccoon emotes.
Oh, right. I forgot. That's the third R. Roles, rules, and raccoons.
Put it on a t-shirt.
Bliber's Guide to Building a Perfect Discord Server.
Rules, and raccoons.
Yeah.
Well, one of those rules is actually ROLLS because you're there.
Wow. Oh, true. Bread rolls. Good.
Oh my god,
Good.
that's actually the name of Baguette and I's law firm.
Yeah. Rolls and raccoons. Rolls and racks.
Rolls and raccoons. But no, super
Amazing.
solid.
But yeah, I will say like protecting your community is really important. I know that like when I set up my community, I actually have, I call it a 16 plus community. So like keeping that in mind and being very transparent about that fact of like, hey, I do technically have like quote, like a not safe for work thing in my server, but it's not for actual not safe for work. It's just for things that are like a little bit more edgy or like, you know, like a grown-up joke, right? Because then if I do identify somebody who I know is a small bean, I can give them a role that doesn't let them see that one. And then somebody wants to joke about, you know, boobs, they can, and it's fine. But
actually gone.
yeah, but like make sure you have like your transparency up of what kind of community you're building. That's a huge security feature in and of itself. Yeah, go ahead, Mafi.
What's that called? So this is something I learned from like someone that I've met like over the streaming period, and like they were like a new up and coming like streamer. They were getting their Discord like going, and they really emphasized the fact that they insisted on, what is it, like making sure their community was like protected and stuff like that. And one thing that like inspired me like onto this path was you know how you can have like automatic like roles of like, oh, like I'm a minor, I was gonna say major, that's not how it works. I'm a minor, I'm in like an adult kind of thing. I personally provide the adult role knowing if you're just an adult. I will not make that an automatic thing. I think some people might. I think it's a habit of, again, like Discord kind of community stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna manually assign that. We're gonna, take me out for dinner. I'm gonna realize you're like 24 years old. Yes, you can see the anime titties in the Not Safe for Work channel. Okay, like
yeah,
Yeah.
I will say that is a really complex thing, and I think Blair, you and I have had this conversation a couple of times of like, how do you keep your community to be a safe place where both adults and minors might be present, but setting it up so that like everybody is as safe as possible. And it's hard because, like, for example, I'm not gonna draw attention to it, but there is a role in my server that I assign to known kiddos. But that was a really tricky decision for me because I was like, am I flagging this child for bad adults? Like, if I have age-based roles that people can self-select even, am I letting them flag themselves? Like, it's tough.
Like, it's wild. So like it's kind of funny. A lot of folks like prioritize like protecting the like adult side, but like I'm a children's charity streamer. So, like we literally have like kiddos from the hospital that are in my server, and my biggest priority is like, how do I protect these children? Because I trust adults to stay away from bad things. You guys are adults. I trust you to. But how do I protect the children from like being victims of like predator or just seeing things they should not see as children? And I'm very happy that my server has 0 adult really anything. Like,
you just don't have space for it, and it's not tolerated at all. So like the expectations are clear enough that if anybody were to try anything, it would immediately be taken down, and the whole community would be like, we don't do that here. Like,
exactly. I think we had that once where like someone posted a like kind of like, it was like vegetables, but it was like a like a pea meme, and immediately like all the like 15 to 18-year-olds were like, no, this is Blair Bear's community. You don't do that here.
No, exactly.
Right? With the rule thing, and I just want to bring this up, like not to scare anyone from doing it, but just my own personal. I modded a Discord where someone had like a minor and an adult role, and we've actually caught actual adults labeling themselves as minors in that server. Yeah, because like they had a category locked, like here's the kids chat, here's the adults chat, and the adults were talking in the minor server, like the minor space. And oh my god, like I think about this so much, like how long was it going on before we caught it? Like, so I am always so. And there's a couple ways to make it safe. You could do what I do and just make everything like everyone has to be a Pixar, Disney, family-friendly atmosphere film when you're here. And then obviously, have rules set in place, like, don't DM others without consent, teach the kiddos too, like how to turn off DMs from servers and from strangers. You don't need to be everyone's parent, but there's little things you can add into your server and your rules to be like, hey, here's some guidelines to help you. Another thing with server security, just because I want to bring this up real quick, I lost my first hideout server because my account got hacked on Discord. So make sure if you're listening to this, you have 2-factor authentication on. You have admins that also have the 2-factor authentication, and all your mods have it as well, just so you don't have to watch your server get deleted before your eyes like I did. Thankfully, we were able to rebuild it, and it's better than ever, but like, yeah, terrifying to see. So security-wise, make sure you are making sure you're not clicking on any links that you, like, even if it's from people that you trust, make sure it's valid and that it's them sending it. But Yeah, with the age thing, you can do what most people do, make your server 18, 16 plus, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
just stuff to keep in mind while you're creating your community, you know. And we mentioned earlier, set the standard for what age group is comfortable for you before you start even building a community. If you are an adult streamer, that's fine. I respect you, but keep everything 18 plus or 21 plus, whatever you prefer. You know, don't let kiddos into your adult community.
I love that concept that Mafi talked about of like verified adults. I'm stealing that. I'm gonna go lock down my server entirely.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're a grown up.
You're good.
I will say, some places, some people who have large communities, they have taken age verification to other levels. And I'm going to talk about it because I think it's important to know that like this does exist. But so like Peachy's saying, I talk about her a lot. She has a 16 plus hard rule. Like you cannot be under 16 and in her Discord. And if anybody suspects that you are, they will actually age verify you with an ID. I don't know how they do it, but I know that they do it. They have like an email address and everything.
It's like some people like they insist that you can like kind of cover your face or whatever, but like I think it's like you show like an actual like piece of ID like with like a selfie like right in front of you sort of thing, but like you delete it like right after. But you know, some people are just not like comfortable enough to do that, but yeah, sometimes it's for good intentions, you know. We're not trying to steal your IDs.
That being said, just general disclaimer, just because someone's a content creator doesn't mean that they're a good person. So don't just like run around taking pictures of your ID with your home address on it and sending it to random people.
Yeah.
I have to remind people, I feel so bad. I think I accidentally set the standard for a lot of people that everyone is a Blair Bears, and they're not. Like, I have stopped people from like accidentally sending like selfies, or I remember once, I'm gonna name drop him because the bear posted his full social security number on a thing in the background in a photo, and I took it down. But like, not everyone is gonna be like that. Not everyone is, and it kind of, I'm gonna bring up a funny little story. When folks from TikTok would come over knowing who I am, you know, I'm like the raccoon mom. I'm everyone's cool aunt. Like, I am a very grandmothery person. But Sim, who I collab with often, is not. Sim is a gamer. He's a hardcore gamer cat. I love him. He's very caring, very sweet, but he's not like the mother energy that I am. And there have been a couple times where people will join Sim's community and get like a totally different experience and vibe. So it is so true that like not every content creator is the same. We are all our own human beings, so just keep that in mind as you go from place to place. Even if we're good friendos, I don't know a lick of French, so if you come from Baguette's server to mine, you're just gonna get English and some Spanglish. That's it.
Fantastic. I'm gonna teach you some French. But on the content creator side, also keep in mind that you should, this goes back to kind of collaborations, but vet the communities that you interact with and that you expose your community to. It is part of that safety conversation, right? If you're going to advocate for a community and say, wow, join this community, like make sure that you tell your people what kind of community they're getting into, if it's different from yours, but also that it is generally safe, right? And just making sure that you know that like when you align with other communities, whether that's for growth reasons or whether that's just because you like the creator as well, just making sure that the community overlap is one that makes sense. Because like even though your community and Sim's community are very different, Blair, which I think is great examples, they are an overlap that makes sense, right? Like there's similar senses of humor, some similar general interests, just a little bit of different like expression, and that's really the biggest difference. It's just how things are expressed.
I fully agree.
I'd like to say, also use the tools that, like, for example, Discord and Twitch natively give you to its fullest advantage. For example, is like auto moderation settings. Like, for example, maybe there is a term that technically isn't bad, but you just don't feel okay with having it. You can set that up so that it automatically gets censored. For example, on Twitch.
Vaporeon.
Yeah, that's a good example.
I have Vaporeon banned in my chat.
But like for me, I have it set up only VIPs can drop links, which kind of sucks for like a new viewer who wants to share a clip that they just made. But like, it's for my community's safety, because like, how many times do we get those, hey, cheapest viewers on XYZ website, like all the time?
Yeah, that's
so,
smart.
So I have it just so there is no hyperlinks except for VIPs on my Twitch. So utilize the tools that is given to you to its fullest advantage.
Absolutely.
I think this is a great launch point to talk about with the community management on Twitch and how to know when to give somebody the VIP role, because the VIP role can be a really, really fun community building tool for you in terms of like, one, I think obviously like there is a certain level of rewarding the constant good viewer, right, that has been hanging out for a long time and is shown to be a really great community member. Also, of course, if there's somebody whose chats you don't want to miss, it can be really helpful when you're trying to read chat as a content creator. But there are ways that you can assign permissions to certain things that are locked behind that VIP wall. And so in a way, it kind of, I think, Mafi, you talked earlier about like the hierarchy structure. And like, it kind of can play into that. And that's one of the really cool features that Twitch does offer. So how do all of you decide who gets VIP, and how do you use the VIP role in your content to build your community?
I'll take the lead.
Paz,
on this.
having you start.
I literally said it. Yeah. All right. Anyways, so for me, who I assigned VIP for, I'll be honest with you, 90% of the time I forget that VIP even exists. However, for a lot of my longtime viewers or people that, you know, stick around, chat a lot, those are people I'm more apt to give VIP to. Primarily what happens and how I go about giving VIP is someone will try to post a clip, and if I've recognized them in my channel long enough, I'm like, oh, wait, hold on, let me give you VIP access, so now you can go ahead and do that. One, because they're just trying to share my content, so, you know, it makes sense that I would give them the VIP in that case. And two, it helps further build the community, because now they have an extra level of trust that I'm giving them. On top of that, for my channel, I have VIP only commands as well that only VIP members can have access to, which I'm still kind of angry about. Twitch, if you're watching this, mods should also have access to VIP commands as well. But needless to say, actually no, that might be a Polypop. Polypop, if you're listening to me, the mod should also have access to VIP commands. One of you, I don't know whose end it is on. But needless to say, what was I saying? Oh yeah, commands and stuff. My VIP members have access to commands that only they can use. And unironically, same with the mods. They have access as well to only commands that they can use. Although, with the exception of like one command, most of those are actually moderator specific. Like, for example, sometimes Polypop on my end will break and certain things will not work. There is a command that you can just type it in and it resets the cooldown on all the commands. So that way it'll get it back up and working again. So, yeah, that's how I pretty much use it.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know as one of your mods.
Yeah. What about you?
Mafi.
Oh, okay. What about you, Mafi?
Deflected to me, yeah. It's interesting, because I'm like kind of in like a pickle with how I kind of go about VIP stuff. I proposed having it like recently as like kind of like stupidly high amount of like channel points kind of thing. Like I'm kind of just like going around like taking notes as to, okay, this person distributes them this way, and I feel like a really common one is just like a stupidly amount like of high channel points. But like I'm starting to kind of even just through this conversation see maybe even like a problematic side to that. There could be someone like really like shitty that just like is, I don't know, like pretends to be goody two shoes for like 3 months and like, I don't know, like starts to, I guess, abuse their VIP-ness, and I feel like, wow, that was phrasing.
I was gonna say.
I was gonna let it go.
It felt gross after saying it. I'm sorry. What's that called? I think what I've done over the years, like consistently, but not really consistently, is it's just kind of like a gold star I can just give a friend. I'm like, hey, maybe that just kind of looks aesthetically nice for you. Like if it's like, what you often find is a lot of like in streamer communities, and you're really close with like fellow streamers, they don't necessarily have the time to be able to mod you back, sort of thing, or like mod you like in general kind of thing. And I'm like, I still want to make you feel special, like when you're around kind of thing. So I guess like the VIP is like sort of like an acknowledgement of that sort of thing that you've that the intention to support is there.
Blair?
Hi. So I'm very much like Paz. I forget VIPs exist because, I don't know, to me, everybody's a VIP. But for me, I give them out based on, like, Discord and Twitch interaction. And I only mention that is because I'm super active in my Discord. And I'll give them to people who, have, been to a lot of streams, who are good beans in the Discord, who I hang out with in the VCs or talk to in there. Like, if you have a VIP on my channel, like, you're probably noticed as a good bean, and that's just to say that if you don't have one, you're not a good bean. I'm just a forgetful raccoon, and Twitch only gives you so many badges, but I give them out based on, who is aligning most with my like-mindedness, who supports our charity, who's nice to everyone in chat, who helps me out, like, with, welcoming everyone and stuff like that. Like, I guess in a way, VIPs are kind of like mod juniors to me in my stream.
I was gonna say the mod junior. I definitely identify with that. It's like people who I don't expect to do like moderator things, but I have trust in them to do things like be able to post links. So like if somebody were to be like, oh, I can't join the Discord, like the VIP could post a link or something like that. Or just the people I could like not have to worry as much about abusing a lack of a cooldown. So like I could give them access to certain commands that like I know they're not gonna like come in here and just abuse the crap out of it unless it's funny. But yeah, I would say like I think it's a good call out to assess behavior like across multiple platforms too, if you are on multiple platforms, because if somebody is really great on Twitch but they are like rude on Discord, like you're still setting a standard for people in your Discord that it's acceptable to be that level of rude if you give them VIP on Twitch. And just keep in mind like, the messaging that you send when you do stuff like that.
True. That's a good point. That's why I kind of have to be careful with like who I collab with especially with me representing a separate brand that isn't just Blair Bears, because I do represent like the charity that I play for. I have to be a little more pick and choose with who I collab with. To get you insider info, Baguette, Charlie had to vouch for you like 3 times before I agreed to go on stream with you.
And that's so valid though.
Because I didn't know you, and it was like our
valid.
first interaction. Like, was that stream? We really didn't talk before. So I kept asking Charlie, like, is she like, I respect her, she seems really nice, but like, is she gonna be okay with the whole me not, I'm a little charity boy, like, is that okay? And like the first stream we did, Baguette was like promoting our extra life and was like already in love with me, and I'm like, all right, good. But yeah, no, I feel that in my soul. You really need to be careful, because like the people that you align yourself, just like in real life, the people that you associate with define kind of who you are. So very much the same for being a little stream boy.
Absolutely. I
Which
think
I don't
that
know why
is.
Baz is hanging out with us then, but yeah.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, I
oh
don't
my
know why
gosh.
I'm here.
I was gonna say that seems like a really good way to segue into one of the other topics we have kind of slated for this, which is setting boundaries. Like Blair, I think, queen, Garbo queen, boundary queen. You guys want to talk about some ways that you set boundaries with your communities, whether that's with fellow content creators, because they're part of your community too, or with your community in general, or maybe share, some tips and tricks for how to manage maybe when those boundaries are not as defined as you like them and there's an issue, or for example, if somebody were to cross a boundary, how do you deal with that? Blair, you want to start?
Okay, but boundaries are really hard.
They are, but you
So-
do so good. I promise.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So, setting boundaries is very important, not just for yourself, but for your community as well. It's very important that they are established. When someone comes in, are they allowed to DM you? Are they allowed to, at you? Are you, open to collabing with others? These are very important things to lay out in black and white somewhere, whether it's, like in a bio on Twitch, if it's like in a Twitter, like about me post, stuff like that, just so people know that when they're first coming in. For me personally, like I said before, I am very active in my community. One of the things I hear the most is people will join and I'll like immediately greet them. And they're like, oh my God, I'm not used to the streamer being so active in these channels. And I'm like, oh, well, I just really like talking to you and getting to know you. So it's hard to set that boundary of like, sometimes people can come in and think that, because I greeted them, because we talked to them, we are best friends, and that gives them the okay to DM me all this stuff and like things like that. And, a part could be like on me, maybe like I give the wrong impression, or maybe I just wasn't saying things clear enough, in the past when this occurred more often. So having those things of like, don't DM without permission, ask the mod team for help, kind of giving you a step back from things. When I first started my community, I set everyone to DM me with any issues or problems and things like that. And in return, they would DM me like with mental health problems or like, personal streaming problems or tech problems. And it was like, I meant DM me if there's problems with my server, but I understand the confusion. So I personally had to take a step back and be like, we have a ticket system now people can do in the server, so everything stays in there and doesn't have to go to DMs. I mentioned ping the mod team for if you need any help. And I just have that layer of me being out of it, which I will say for me personally is very hard, because I don't want to ever feel like I don't care about my community. But because we have almost 900 people, it's really impossible for me to be there for every single one at all hours of the day. So it's very important to set those boundaries, to have that layer of you being out of it. I hope I'm wording this okay, because it sounds better in my head than coming out of my mouth.
You're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you, I appreciate you. But yeah, then whenever someone like crosses over a boundary, I think that's when it's good to have like a, for lack of a better term, like disciplinary action in place. For example, we had one community member who would DM me a lot, and it would be, sending me selfies or sending me things that you really shouldn't send someone that you're not friends with. And I told them, you have to be very honest with your community and be like, hey, please don't DM me like this. You can talk to me in the Discord, but I will not be responding to DMs. And they didn't listen. They kept doing it. So we had to pull them into a ticket. We gave them a warning, like, hey, if you do this again, you're going to get kicked. And about an hour later, they got kicked out of the server. So I think having things like that, being open and honest about your boundaries and just being similar to better, I can be very coddling and very like tiptoeing on what I truly want to say. But I think with community leadership, you need to just be blunt and be like, you are not allowed to do this. You need to stop. Sometimes you got to be like the disapproving parent, like, and that's just what's needed to make sure everyone is respecting and maintaining the boundaries that you set. Because, I wouldn't want, and not just me, like I wouldn't want anyone sending like unsolicited stuff to any community member. So people need to know this is not okay, and if they keep breaking it, you need to have rules in place and actions and like step-by-step things they need to do in order to maintain the protection for everyone else.
I was gonna say, I feel like that I heard once, I don't remember where I heard it, but someone said that a boundary isn't, please don't do this. It's, if you do this, I'm going to do this as a result. And anything else is just a preference. Like, your boundaries really do have to come with, their like actions have to have consequences, and there has to be like a way of enforcing that. And like that, you can start with saying, hey, I really prefer if you don't do this. But then if they continue to do that, despite you voicing that preference, then it's okay. If you continue to do this, then this is going to be the result. And then if they still push past it, then it's like, okay, that's 3 strikes. I tried asking you to respect me as a person. I tried giving you a heads up on a consequence. Now you have to feel it. And I think that moderation can be a really, really tricky thing when it comes to community, especially as the community hits certain like tipping points. It can feel really bad to moderate somebody that, you know, you care about, or, you know, is good intentioned, or, you know, is not trying to be bad, but they just are having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month. And it can be really, really hard as well, you know, especially if somebody who you've known for a long time. But again, it kind of ties back to, in my mind, that safety, right? If your community is being made unsafe by somebody in their actions, your boundary has to be enforced no matter what. And that's just the way it is.
I actually got a story
There's so many times. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
There's so many times where I've had to, like, the beloved community member that's been in there for months or years, we've had to moderate them because they're just making the environment uncomfortable for other people. So I feel that in my core bagels of just, you know, being the leader of your community, you have a whole community to protect and to make sure everyone's comfortable and feels safe being there, even if it means talking to that person and being like, hey, I love you, but you need to knock it off, or, you know, things are going to happen.
It's not personal, it's safety, you know?
Yeah.
It's a safety thing. That's all it is. That's all moderation really boils down to, is safety and comfort. And sometimes you have to prioritize the safety and comfort of yourself or the masses over somebody else's comfort with being able to just do whatever they want.
And just so no one's scared of, like, I will say, of all the times I've had to do that, only once did it end up with me having to ban that person who didn't stop, you know, being a rule breaker. So don't be scared to do it. Like, I know it's hard. It's always hard to communicate with the people that you love, especially in a negative way, but it'll be okay. And at the end of the day, it's what's best for everyone. Paz, tell us your story.
Tell us your story.
So it kind of ties into a line of like how gray, like difficult kind of gray zone it can be. So the story that I have is, it was actually not in my community, but the person that is relevant to, actually 2 people are part of my community. One of them's another streamer, and then the other one's just a person who just happened to be both in both communities. But in the other person's community, the other streamer's community, there was a joke that was made, and it was related about doxing, but they made sure it was 100% clearly a joke. However, as streamers, you kind of have to take doxing with a little bit of a sincerity, you know, because it's a serious thing. So the other streamer kind of brought that to my attention, and I was like, well, here's the thing. It's like, do I take action upon this? And kind of what I had to figure out was like, all right, so if I want to take action, what do I want to do? So the kind of the premise that I came up with is, I did want to do, I called it a soft ban to the person. I messaged them. I'm like, hey, here's the situation. I understand, like, it was a joke, but for their safety, so that they know that I am taking this sincerely, I have to implement some sort of like a punishment. So for like the X amount of days, you will not be able to use access to Discord. You can view what's going on, but you will not be able to message. And the same goes for my Twitch. I feel for you. I understand that it was a joke, but again, like, this is for, they know that like this, like my community is like, you know, I want to take care of everybody, like, but I'm not gonna ban you. But it is also one thing that's like, it is a warning, just like, you gotta make sure what you say, like, is that something you want to post it before you hit that send button, you know? So it can be very difficult, and there's a lot of gray zones. It's like, how do you want to handle this? Because what you do sets a precedent, you know? And the precedent I wanted to set was like, look, I can understand certain circumstances can be gray, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure that everybody feels safe and welcome in my community.
I think one of the great moderation gray areas as well is, can I moderate someone in my community for action taken outside of my community? Action taken in another community? Random crap posting on Twitter? Like, where is that line drawn, right?
Yep.
It can be really tricky, especially if you are in like a shared community. Like I think that this group that we have does a pretty good job of communicating openly. If there's somebody who's legitimately making my community unsafe, like I know that I could count on, like I could send Blair and Charlie and Paz a message and be like, hey, this person shows up in your chats too. It's your decision if what you want to do, but this is what happened in my situation. And they'll take that under advisement and they'll decide like, okay, yeah, I don't want that person in my space. Ew, icky, gross. Like
Icky, caca, get away. Spray bottle.
But like there are, you know, some limited circumstances where, you know, it was like, hey, this wasn't okay for me, but it would have been okay for you. So you don't have to like do anything. And so, you know, it's I would say it's pretty rare for there to be a situation where like if Blair reached out and was like, this person did this thing, like I wouldn't want that. If they can't follow her rules, then they're not going to follow mine, you know, like but it's just one of those things.
I do think I set the standard for most, like, like, you know, if someone's being like a little degen out and like, you know, someone else is like, that's fine, like that wouldn't fly in my community. But people are welcome to be little gremlins out. I've seen what you all post and do. I'm looking at you. If you're listening to this, I know what you've said. It's fine. But, like, yeah, if they can't follow my rules, usually if someone's banned from Hideout, that's a pretty serious thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, keep that in mind, too, of, like, it's hard. Having a community is a big responsibility, and I think that people don't realize that. Like, it's just, like, it's not just fun and games in VC with your friends, right? You ultimately are responsible for the health and safety of the community, not necessarily its individual members, but of the community as a whole, right? So if you have to, when it comes to moderation, that's the thing that I've had to really drill into my skull is like, I'm not necessarily responsible for the individuals, but I am responsible for the overall health of my community and safety and comfort levels of people in it. So I can't cater everything that I do around one person or one idea, but I absolutely do have to make sure I address big ticket issues in my moderation of my community.
One thing I want to add on, because now I'm thinking about it, I think it'd also be worthwhile to periodically just review what you have for like rules and stuff. Because, you know, as a streamer, what we want could definitely change as far as like how we want to moderate stuff. Because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, I don't remember all the rules that I had originally set up, and I don't know if all of them meet my expectations as what I want right now. So literally after this stream, I think I might be going back to my Discord, just kind of reviewing everything, making sure it's all up to snuff. You know, I don't want anything to mismatch for what I want for expectations, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, it's super good to do. That's actually happened to me a few times. Like, we will verbally mod, like, for example, VCs. You know, we have VC etiquette, and I realized, like, we had one pinned message in, like, a VC text channel, but nothing ever officially in our rules channel about VC etiquette. So recently we had to update that, because we're like, oh man, no wonder no one knows, like, what we're talking about when we verbally mod someone with it.
Oh, so domino affected, because I yoinked it from back. Interesting.
Oh, the VC etiquette stuff?
Yeah.
So, real talk, let me talk about my VC. So my rules were a very basic set of rules that did not include VC etiquette. And let me tell you, I have this big type up about VC etiquette. And that was specifically because as the community became more VC heavy, we started having situations where I would have like mostly my partner, Cloud, or like other members of the community being like, hey, I was in VC and you weren't there, but this thing keeps happening. And it's these couple people, like this one person or these couple people. And I just think that they don't understand like how to VC. Like, and I was like, to be fair, I don't really know how to VC either. Like, I wasn't a big VC person. I'm new to the Discord platform by comparison to a lot of people. And so I was like, okay, hey, next time like we're in VC, because I have ADHD, like if it happens, point it out to me. And so they did. And so I was like, okay. So then I just went off on my own and I was like, let me craft some best practices, right? So like little things like, hey, this VC is labeled for League of Legends, because like Cloud was using that VC to play League of Legends with some people in the community. and then other people would come in and completely derail the conversation and interrupt the game, and they're trying to, do a competitive match and they can't because somebody's playing Guitar Hero and going into their mic. Like, that just you can't do that.
That is really important. Like,
I've listened to people's local sports channels because of the background noise.
And so I had to think about, like, okay, what little things would bother me if they were happening, and I just put them in writing, and it, like, honestly, like, solved so many issues, because I feel like people who were, again, like, a lot of people are just good intentions, they just don't know. It helped them understand the rules, but it also gave me a foundation for when somebody eventually doesn't follow the rules or isn't doing the right thing, to, like, say, hey, buddy, it's right here. Go refresh your memory. And until then, you server muted. Like, message me once you've read the rules again and you understand them.
Take advantage of the server muting because it's so nice. I mean, obviously it doesn't feel nice to do it, but sometimes you do get the Guitar Hero players who come in and you're talking about something in a gaming VC and you just hear it and it's like, nah. So yeah, don't be afraid to take advantage of those. Bagels, you are speaking my language.
Yeah, so like it's helpful. Like, this maybe just because I am also a corporate baddie on the side. People don't have to follow something if you don't communicate it to them. So make sure your communication is clear, because otherwise people will just say, well, how was I supposed to know that? And then you're like, well, that's true, that's fair. And you want to be fair, so then you give them a second chance and then they do it anyway. And then you just have prolonged the pain.
It's so real.
Yeah.
What's the other thing? Oh, because I got reminded of something as you guys were talking about that.
Oh, the VC rule thing.
Yeah.
Down.
So,
yeah.
Or part of it, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's important to also, like, it's funny, like, I guess VC etiquette is important, like, in the community grand, like, scheme of things. When you join a VC, don't assume you're the center of attention all the time as well. I feel like, I've seen actually multiple instances of it. I think we've done pretty well to kind of quell it nowadays, but just, like, not everybody is paying attention to your shared screen, or like will want to, kind of thing, or automatically interested in that sort of thing. Maybe just have optional alternative VCs as well, like not just one grand big VC for people to split off to, like you guys have like themed like VCs sort of thing. Just like sometimes VCing requires directing traffic. And sometimes it's not just like one highway. Sometimes you're gonna have to make an elevated highway on top of that where other people can go another way, kind of thing. So get ready to manage that a little bit until people kind of acclimatize to how you roll, alongside the rules that you put in place, of course.
Rolls, and raccoons. We're back to it.
We're back to it. Back to it. Yeah. Let's see.
I think we're good to move on to the next subject here. Maintaining a community. Now that you've already got one established. I know we've actually unironically kind of touched upon it most of this podcast already. Let me just.
So would we talk about growth next?
Let me just. We can
Strategies
go ahead and
for
start
growth?
talking about that. I just want to review my notes, make sure there's nothing I've personally missed, so that way we're good to go. But go ahead. You can go ahead and move on to growing a community while I review the maintaining.
So I think growing and maintaining, though, kind of go hand in hand. If you're maintaining your community effectively, you will grow. Like, you can't have one without the other. If you focus entirely on growth, then the people who are part of your community from the beginning will feel neglected. Or, like, if you're, like, constantly saying, join my Discord, and, like, everybody joins, but you have no man's land, no moderation, no structure, no engagement or interaction once they get there, you're not going to end up growing if that's your only focus. Like, good maintenance is the foundation for growth. We say we agree.
I agree with
Like,
that.
does that feel, yeah.
Quality over quantity when it comes to growing and maintaining your community.
100%.
Yeah, you can have all
Yeah.
the numbers in the world, but like if you don't have like really any sense of community and like the welcoming vibe and the things to do and the things to talk about, like why would I stay there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I have a
You gotta get that good garbo.
I have a bullet point here that actually is really, really good. Actively participate in your community, aka be a part of your own community. Blair mentioned this.
Yes!
She's the queen of being part of her own community.
I don't know how she does it. No, it's just like I feel like I always see you messaging and replying, and like Blair's Discord go absolutely brr, like it's like brr,
I
like
work a
messages like
full-time
crazy.
job, too.
And you have the
Yeah.
full-time job, and I'll like go in there like after work and like be scrolling and checking in on like all the shenanigans, and I'm like, Jesus, Blair, you were talking to people all day. Are you working, lady? But I know you were. But I know you were.
No, it's so important. I really shouldn't get comments from people like, oh man, the streamers and the communities never talk in their server. Cause like, I don't know, if I'm there for the streamer, I want to see the streamer caring about the community that they created. Like, and it's not that it is so not that you need to go talk to everybody in your server, right? But just make a presence, like have announcements, have fun little, like for example, what I do, I have holiday reactions where people can thematically change their roles and colors in the server to like Christmas colors or Halloween colors. They could be spooky skeletons. Like you don't need to talk to every single person for you to have a presence and be active in your community. Just maintain it. Add new fun channels. Have little challenges for people. We do in October, I run a whole freaking ARG in the server for people to like solve mysteries, and like I utilize bots and streams. Like it's also a fun way to build your community through that because you're doing fun things in your community. So yeah, 100% agree. But it does get overwhelming. Like, sometimes I wake up to like 100+ messages and I'm like, oh, we were chatty today. Like
I'll say too, like finding ways to have like routines in your communities can be really, really helpful. People love a good routine. So like I'm gonna talk about two things I've seen in communities that I'm in. You have Wednesday.
I love Wednesday.
Yes. And then Sim has Thirsty Thursday. And both of those, I feel like, are just such a great little way of like, hey, like the streamer is going to come out to this channel today on Wednesday, on Thursday, and look at all the replies to this ping and respond. And like, it's like, I get a chance to interact with them at least once a week. I know that like, Blair's going to come read my wins. Sim's going to look at what I'm drinking today. And I think that those little things are so underrated in terms of community fostering and community building.
I am so, this is a personal thing.
Yeah.
I set up Thirsty Thursdays when I became a mod in Sims.
Yeah! There it is!
Listen, I'm so proud of him because he's like, from that he's also done his own he used to do a like weekly question for everyone and stuff like that. So like, oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that those things are
it's
great.
simple things like that. Like literally once a week, just pop in, say hello. You know, ideally more, but life can be lifing, and mental health can be mental healthing. So like,
life can be lifing.
Don't force yourself.
Another thing I would like to suggest for those that are getting into building their own community, utilize the social media platforms specifically for their own strengths. Like, for example, I myself, and I could be the odd one out, but I myself, every time like I post like going live on Twitter, I don't see any change. But like in the Discord, like if I don't put up that notification, I'll see there's a definite change there. So like utilize them to their strengths. Personally, for me, what I found weirdly enough that goes hard on Twitter for me is like when I just post memey stuff, funny stuff, just entertaining stuff. people love that, and I'm just like, all right, if that's what they want, that's what they'll get. But and then I think for example, Instagram, for me, whenever I get around to it, instead of like posting meme stuff or just like, hey, I'm live, catch me here, I think that's going to be like more of like, hey, my own personal hobbies, like these are images of like things that I have made or things that I'm doing. And like, I think those are a great way to grow the community grow the community as well, because it's, in a way, it's different styled content, but at the end of the day, all roads lead to Rome, which would be you know, you being Rome.
Rome wasn't built in a day, Paz.
True. Rome wasn't built in a day.
I feel like what you've said, Paz, made me realize, if the Twitter bangers right now are me posting selfies of me in cosplay, I need to rework my approach. I'll post like updates about what's going on in my life and stuff like that. Kind of not to like, what's it called? Not to vent. I don't think anybody wants to use like their Twitter space just to purely vent. That unfollowed. But like life updates and like what's going on and stuff like that. And on top of that, like I'll be like, I'm going to this con because I like going to cons, and I'm like, I cosplayed as Ruka Sarashina from Rent a Girlfriend, and like I'm just like, why does this have 23 likes or whatever the fuck? Like, what? I'm like, okay, I can use, like, you can be kind of like be observant of what people, I guess, like react to, and like what you might find is when you're on other platforms creating different communities or participating in other communities, people want to maybe see a different side of you.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Like, great, I'm like a Twitch streamer like here, but I could do a whole other like sort of thing on Twitter. Like, I said it jokingly at first, but I'm like, like, you know, that's like a thought. People might use TikTok as a different like way to do things. YouTube the same. For example, like YouTube at the moment, I'm trying to experiment being almost kind of like a Moist Critical kind of clone or Zealandism kind of clone right now to get like anime talk or whatever's like poppin' sort of thing. So your communities aren't gonna, like, when you grow them, they're not all going to be even like in sync with the same kind of like topics and stuff like that. So be aware of that, I guess.
Sorry, I had a little giggle because every time I'm on Baguette or Charlie's stream, I'm like slightly more unhinged. And I love the reactions that I get from like the people from my own community coming in and being like, is Blair Bears tipsy? Like,
that's you? Yeah, exactly.
Like, not that I'm a total degen, but like, you know, like, I'll just let a little bit off the filter and stuff. And it's so funny that because like, it's so true too, because it's being vulnerable and opening up like a different side of you to your people. And that's honestly, I love that because it makes me feel like you trust me with that side of you. And I adore, like, I don't know, I feel like you're giving us a little taste of a secret life, and it's like, thank you for that.
And vulnerability can be a really powerful community building tool too, of just like that people like about openness, like obviously to your own comfort level, right? Please see the podcast about mental health and boundaries and things like that. But I mean, to be fair, Blair's just, you know, leveraging our streams as the primary place to be her little degen rack self, you know. It's because it's all about time and place, baby.
Exactly.
She can't do it on the official Blair Bears socials, but you know, our streams are safe for that.
This reminds me of I feel like I'm less familiar with Blair, but with Paz and Baguette, when I've like hopped into their chats, I think like initially, for example, I am like super silly, super just kind of maybe a little more unhinged, a little just like goofy kind of thing, and then they'll come to my stream and be like, this is not the person that was like, you know, saying skibbity toilet in my chat earlier, right? This is like a borderline ASMR streamer. What happened?
Mahu gives whiplash. Like, I met you in Murph's stream in her chat, and I straight up was like, oh my gosh, I bet this person's streams are super like meme funny. And then I popped into your stream for the first time and I was like, that's Mafi. No
I think it was like the first
way.
2 to 3 streams. I was doing a double take. Is like, am I watching the same person? I'm not sure. I'm not 100%.
The cross-referencing, yeah. No, that's what Blair's experience like kind of reminded me of. And yeah, like I think it's literally like just my channel because I just like it's cozy, nice home. But then I'll be like, what is it? There's like a collab. I think Bag was there where we were like playing like Plate Up or something.
I'm
And
sure
I just
it was.
I like or not Plate Up, like the other.
Oh,
chef, yeah.
Overcooked.
Yeah, and I was just like tossing like hamburgers like into the sea or something that like needed to be like prepped or something. And I'm just laughing
Oh,
hysterically.
it was so funny.
But you don't get that from like the switch up's a thing. and feel free to like, what's it called? That doesn't mean you're a fraud.
Yeah.
Even if Paz tells you are.
What? What?
Even if Paz tells you you are.
Pazuah.
I hate it here. I hate it here. Why? Why am I here?
No, it's so true though. And honestly, I appreciate the reminder of like it doesn't mean you're a fraud if you act different with like other people, because I am a social chameleon. Like I
You're in like so many cliques.
Yes, like-
yeah.
yeah, I like, you know, I'm always me, but I'm like, you know, like if I'm hanging out with the grandparents, I am a very respectable, non-swearing me. If I'm hanging out with like my brother sister, I am an unhinged sweary me. So like it's the same way with like collabs. I am a different person a little bit with like Sim or Baguette or Charlie than I am like with just myself in my own little Garbo home.
You're different when you're 3D versus 2D. I mean, it's
I
different
kinda
energy.
do be, and I've realized the variable is always Baguette. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but we said that we're always the little gremlins when Baguette is involved. So
You know,
I'm not saying
you know,
there's a
I'm
conspiracy
noticing,
here.
I'm noticing a trend.
Yeah.
Hey,
There's the
this is
common
not-
denominator.
Brightside made a very, very, very convenient, very similar statement when we did the podcast of Brightside. When Baguette's involved, people start eating weird food.
Well, I
Her
disagree.
glizzy
I think the
gobbling.
food's very tasty, but that's just me.
Listen, Brightside's the one that said Choco Glizzy first, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. And Paz is the one that posted the picture of the Choco Glizzy first. I just brought life to it. I brought it to reality.
No one
But
asked you to bring it
they
to
invented
reality.
I did it for charity.
You did great, honey. It was great.
Ah!
I'd have it for free.
Yeah. The caramel glizzy is good. For real talk, it's good. I like that one.
I'd actually I'd like to transition to a point that we don't quite have written down. I don't know where
Yeah.
exactly it'd fit. but
Miscellaneous. Let's go.
Now is a great time because we're talking about Choco Glizzy.
Yeah, it is related. Just
To Choco Glizzy? I'm
Yes,
intrigued.
actually.
You had my attention, now you have my attention.
I think there's the comfortability with inside jokes. A great way to like get your community involved is to familiarize them with inside jokes. For a while, I had that like cheese thing, and that's what led to like the Despair Subathon cheesy. I was gonna say goodness, that was not good. I felt like gagging. But like when you have stuff that you can reference, like the Choco Glizzy thing, or Paz's pants,
Or congrats, Paz.
yeah, exactly. That just unites people. Like we like upon arrival, we acclimatize you to the Gouda galaxy with bald. We're just calling you bald. It doesn't matter. You're just bald. I don't mean that derogatorily. Just to be clear. The same thing with like French. Just to be like, it's okay to kind of let loose, and it depends on your like again boundaries. But like for me, like you can kind of meme the shit out of me, sort of thing. And I'm sure a lot of other people kind of embrace that sort of spotlight.
I was gonna say I love when people join the server now because we have the level up bot, and every time somebody levels up, we say congrats, Paz. And the new people are like, what does it mean? Because they get leveled up like almost immediately because they say like, hi, or respond to the welcome thing, or, how is everybody? And then they level up, and then the entire server is congrats, congrats, congrats.
Honestly, this is a good way to tie into growing not your own community but others as well. Because for example, we had a meme on my stream about me being freaking Gru with a bunch of minions. Baguette made me a Gru model and added a sticker in her server of me being freaking Gru. And it's
really
like a
funny.
good way to like promote each other's communities as well as to have those inside jokes. A lot of mine are through little random stickers that I love to explain. Like me making a meme of a dragon, like a dancing dragon at 3 a.m. with Timothy.
Yeah.
It's just these little elements to your community that you can have, and it makes it feel more like home, not just some random internet thing, but like that's your home. You have memories, you have happy moments to share, and I support that so much.
It's helpful. I need to start putting some of the inside joke explanations into like the lore channel. I've decided that that's what my lore channel is going to be for my Discord, because then people ask and I'm like, oh god, wait, hang on, it's like 3 a.m. I need to explain this to you. I'm like a lore thread.
Just gotta say, it's all
so
Jafar's
nice.
fault.
It's all Jafar's fault!
True.
Jafar, it's all your fault. And Mafi doesn't get that joke because she didn't come to my movie night.
That's okay, because this is the seaplane, so it's fine.
There's a
Our
funny
communities are going to be
aspect
listening to
that,
this
though.
part and be like, I know that one!
'Cause what ends up
Go ahead.
happening is you will literally I'll miss out on like a monumental event like that and be like, what the fuck? What is happening? And it's like, and you're just like question marks or whatever. Like bless Kiyoshi. I feel like I see Kiyoshi just like question mark, question mark, question mark. What are you
love
guys
Kiyoshi.
talking about?
Yes.
Like just like stuff like that. Like even if you're not involved, at least the curiosity brings you back in. There was a point where like Baguette had like a giraffe phase. I don't know.
I did not have a giraffe face!
You definitely had giraffe phase. You like it's just I respect you as a person, but maybe not as a giraffe. Like,
Stop it! No!
but it's really neat to kind of just come back to that and be like, well, this is Baguette's neck of the woods.
Neck of the woods! No!
Oh, sorry, clouds.
Oh man. Very good.
Use them.
All right. What other things? Oh, I think one thing we have not talked about is events. Community events. That is a very powerful tool, but boy, can it be a dangerous one. So let's talk about community events and some of the things we've learned, because I think I have learned a lot about having community events in the last 2 years. And I think that I wish someone had told me. So let's share our best tips and tricks for planning a community event.
How about we
Step
have
one, know what you want to do.
Well, I was gonna say, because Blair has some of the best events I've seen around. Why don't we have Blair kick it off?
Oh, thank you.
I was going to say Academy Awards.
I love the Academy Awards. Oh my god, it'll happen again May 11th, 2025. Be there, be square.
The date picked out already. Wow.
Well, yeah, it was my birthday, and I wanted to make sure that I loved everybody on my birthday, especially. So we made it the Academy Awards. But I'm not here to self-promo. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Do it.
On Maine? No, it's fine.
So, I know, right? So I guess tips and tricks for events. One, I know me personally, I try to make it a day that is accessible for a lot of people to be there. So I'll do a Discord community vote and a Twitter one being like, hey, what day and time works for everyone? Because for some reason, a lot of my community is in Europe, and I'm in the United States. So time zones go blur. So we usually try to decide, like, weekends, what time is the best time to have a community event, just so we can make sure everyone can be included in that. I used to do like live streamed big open VCs for these events. Unfortunately, I had to stop it because there would be like 50 people and myself in one VC on stream, and that's way too much to handle all at once. So I will say for smaller communities, having events with VC is a-okay, but as you continue to grow, you may need to like make it just you and your mods, you and VIPs, stuff like that. But as far as like what events you want to do, it's just comfort level. Like I do community, like today we have a community Mario Kart stream, or like Mario Kart like hangout that we're doing. We do their Academy Awards, we do like Smash tournaments for charity. So it's all what you are comfortable running and doing. But yeah, just making it something that is welcoming for everyone. And then one thing to keep in mind, for just in my own personal experience, not everyone wants to be a part of it, and that's okay. When I first did the Discord ARG, which is like an augmented reality game, it's essentially people could like, it was like a whodunit thing that I just had going on in October for the Discord. Some people expressed to me they were really uncomfortable with that. They didn't like coming into the hideout and seeing a bunch of people playing a game. And that's fine, that's okay. So, for things like that, separate it out. Have it be like something you lock behind a rule that people can react to and join voluntarily if they want to. Because it's okay that people are different. That's totally fine. It's what makes us special and unique. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of like blushing of being told that I have some of the best community events. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's the honest truth. I mean,
it's so kind. Thank
how could we forget the quackening?
I would be fine if we forgot about the quackening. I have never felt more like Paz with his copious amount of redeems and things going off all at once than when I host a quackening stream. It's so overstimulating, but I love it. But yeah, just fun things like that. And just, one thing I do want to say, if you try an event and maybe a lot of people don't show up, and you feel disappointed, don't let that discourage you from trying again. Because I've had events where like a lot of people show up, and I've had events where just a couple people show up. And I had fun both times, but I'm also just a very like self-love, like I try to do a thing and I'm proud of myself for that person, and I hope that you can do that for yourself too. So don't let the bad experiences discourage you from trying again and, keeping going, because you'll have your good moments and you'll have your bad, and that's okay. It's life. It's expected.
It's a learning experience.
Exactly.
I think you find out that some things just work and some things don't. But I think you wouldn't have known that if you didn't do it in the first place.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I think that's like the gist of my and then take advantage of Discord's event feature, because it automatically converts time zones for you, and it's been a lifesaver for me. Like, just so everyone's on the same page.
I need to start using this stuff, even like just going to like the setting your Discord to a community. I'm like, maybe that's what I do tonight.
The onboarding the community, like, it's so nice. And it also helps moderation as well, because a lot of it, Discord will look for, like, are these potential spam bots in your server? Do you want us to automatically get rid of them? Stuff like that.
What about you, Baguette? You've hosted quite a few phenomenal events yourself.
Yeah,
Oh
like your
my gosh.
cooking stream.
I was gonna say my cooking stream was really fun. I talked a little bit about it in a previous pod, but for those listening in, I did a stream where I collected recipes from my community and then I cooked them all, and then I did like a gauntlet style taste test, basically. Which, like, let me just also say this. As a VTuber, doing a cooking stream can be really, really difficult because everybody expects you to do like somehow like a hand cam or whatever, and I just was not comfortable with that or set up to do it. But I managed to find a format that worked for me, which was that I cooked everything, I took pictures, I made an amazing slideshow, I played some Ratatouille music, and we just ate on the stream.
I love the Ratatouille redeem you had for that day. Baguette freaking hit me under her hat. I love it so much.
Listen, and like little things like that, like those little final touches, I think are what kind of send your events over the top of like community references. Again, like inside jokes, people who were tuning in to my stream, who I met through Blair, who found me through Blair, like it's a fun little nod that is to them. Like, so what I had was a little PNG of Chibi Blair under my chef hat, and there was a redeem where chat could lift the hat off my head and it would reveal her with 2 little strands of my hair, you know, like Control Me Ratatouille style. And it was called Reveal the Chef, and I thought it was really funny. And Blair was also kind enough to record herself doing a little hee 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 sound effect that went with it. But I'd say like number 1 is just gauging interest. So for that stream, it was definitely very different than any kind of content I'd made before. So I actually put out a couple of different pings over several months being like, hey, if I were to do this, would you enter? Like, react with a spaghetti emoji if you would send in a recipe, or react with like this heart emoji if you would show up and you would watch and you'd be interested in watching that, but you don't necessarily know if you participate. And so like engaging your community interest is totally a-okay. It's where having like in your Discord, like having a suggestions channel is great, because it allows you to see what kinds of things your community may already be interested in doing with you or seeing you do. And it also is like a nice little outlet for like when someone comes into stream and is like, play this game, and you can be like, put it in my suggestions. Tenko.
One of my most quotable things is, hey, add that to suggestions because I will forget.
I will
the
forget.
Streamer brain is
Yeah.
real. We
Yeah.
remember things for 5 seconds and then it's gone. There's
Yeah.
so many times someone will say something in response to something I said previously, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Our brains are so full of all the things we have to check, because even if you don't change the settings, they break. So like there's no room for us to remember every game that's ever been recommended. But like, yeah, so like gauge interest with your community first, then find a format that works for you. Think about safety and all the things we've talked about when you are designing your community event as well. So like for me, my safety element with my cooking stream was I didn't really feel comfortable having a live feed of my house. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want that. I'm a VTuber for a reason. So I had to design my format. Live for 12 hours cooking like a mad woman in my kitchen. I had to figure out another way to do it. But safety could also mean like only VIPs can play the Jackbox games, or only certain people can be in the VC, and like setting those things up in advance. But yeah, so interest, format, and safety and security, and then finally just doing it, you know, marketing, and then do it. That's like my steps for big event planning.
One of my favorite things to do is create graphics for the event.
Yes, so good. Fun.
We have our community, our collab, our Elden Ring collab, and one of my favorite graphics I've made so far for that was putting a trash can on my head and saying, let me solo her. So
It's good. It's good.
or the Super Smash Brothers tournament we had, I did the entire Smash Brothers like image with all the characters, and I made them all community faces. Like I made each person a community member, or I put like raccoon emotes or faces. So simple things like that are also super welcoming, super good vibe.
But yeah, also just like sometimes go on Steam and just like scroll through like the collab or like co-op or like multiplayer things, and that can help a lot too if you're looking for ideas, because there's like lots of little games like that.
If you host any multiplayer raccoon games, just at Blabber65, I'll be there.
If you have a game about bread, I will show up. Not the knocking.
Oh my god, please don't knock. I turned it off.
We'll knock anyways.
Just whisper me. I promise I'll respond.
I think we've hit everything. Is there anything we're missing?
Your community is for you and for the community. The community is the community. Community.
I'll put that
Community.
on a t-shirt if that specific part of the podcast isn't clipped and I can't have it as a sound redeem, I don't want to be invited to another one. All right, what just happened there? I need that. We all need that for channel redeem. I beg you. Community. Community is what brings us together today. Love. Thank you. I married you. Oh my god.
For a reason.
But no, I think we've tackled everything. If anyone ever has any more questions, feel free to join one of our communities and talk to the people that are in there, because honestly we got a lot of amazing content creators in all of our communities, and I think most of us have like specific channels for discussing like tech tips and things like that, so feel free to pop on. Happy to have you.
Yeah, if we're all set, Blair, where would be the place that people would be able to find you?
On Twitch primarily. I'm also on the Twitter, and I'm on TikTok a lot at BlairBear65. From there, you can find our Discord server, which is one of my favorite communities that we're also pretty active in. And then, if you want, you could go to Extra Life and type in Blair Bears, and you can find me there on the charity page, because I'm a charity boy.
What about you, Baguette?
Hello, I am Baguette_Baby everywhere except for Twitter, where I have 2 underscores. Elon Musk, give me my handle. I say it every pod, and I'm gonna say it again. Give me my handle. But yeah, you can find me there. You can find me all around Twitch. I am around.
Mafi?
Who am I? No, sorry. What's that called? I basically go by Mafidella everywhere. It's funnily enough to the point where people thought that my Mafidella Instagram was my IRL Instagram. I don't know. but yeah, like whatever platform you can think of, Mafidella. And if there isn't an account, well, there soon will be. But the primary ones, the Twitch, I've technically got 2 YouTubes now. The Mafidella and the Mafidella Plus for those VODs if you miss out on story-based stuff. When I say YouTube, Twitch, the Twitters I use honestly a lot for like anime related stuff, so if you're hype about Dan, talk to me about it. Let's become oomfies. And then yeah, I've got the TikToks and an Instagram forever pending, but it's okay. Those are on indefinite hiatus right now. What about Mr. Pringles Man?
I don't know about Mr. Pringles Man. I mean, I would imagine like there's a corporate account for that guy, but as for me, my information will be in the description underneath the video, as well as everybody else's. But you can just quick Google search my name. There is only one of me the last time I've checked, which was like 3 or 4 days ago, so it shouldn't be hard finding me. But other than that, I appreciate everybody watching. You're all amazing. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. Anyone have any closing statements? Wow, that sounds very legal.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me, and I love you guys very much, and everyone listening, have a great heckin' day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.